we should call maintenance.
I'll fix it. I'm gonna fix it.
Concentrate it, maintain it, maintain control.
Maintenance complete.
This is The Maintainers, a Blue Cap community podcast. My name is David Lee, Director of Traction, and your host for today's show.
And I'm Jake Hall, the manufacturing millennial. On today's episode, we have Larry Branch. He's the paint technologist at the Nissan Motor Corporation. Now, we're going to hear from Larry on how he's grown the ladder within Nissan, starting there from 2003. We're going to learn about how he gives back to the community and, of course, his passion for training within organizations. But first, a word from our sponsor.
This podcast is brought to you by Traction. Traction offers streamlined hardware and software solutions designed to make maintenance more reliable and profitable. Their AI-powered condition monitoring and asset management solution predicts machine failures and eliminates unplanned downtime, generating an average of 38% more productivity for clients worldwide. It's artificial intelligence quarterbacking your maintenance.
Well, Larry, thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Always great. Never
Awesome.
a bad day.
There we go. There we go. Well, hey, we're going to kick things off with an icebreaker real quick. And so if you ever find yourself being burnt out from work, you just had a long work week, you just got to get away. What is your escape?
I would say traveling, but it's funny being traveling is my escape from a burnt out work week. I love sporting events. I love to travel. So there have been days of a burnt out day or a burnt out work week. And I've hopped in the vehicle after work and drove 3 or 4 hours to a sporting event to New Orleans. So some would say, are you really burnt out or not? So, but when it comes to things that's enjoyable, that burnt out feeling doesn't matter at all.
Not to mention that just that road time of being on the road for a few hours, man, that's some of the best thinking you can have is just driving down the road.
Yes, I totally agree.
That's right. It's like meditation time. So tell us a little bit more about your background. We did hear a bit, but I want to hear about how you got started in the industry.
I got started within Nissan when I was at Southwest Community College during the junior college. There was a job fair for Nissan, and I took the opportunity to interview and go through the job fair. At the particular time, not really knowing much about the job other than hearing a lot of my elders mention that the starting pay at that time was very good. So that also drove my interest. And during the course of my first interview at that job fair to, I would say 15 months later, all of the interviews, the training was to my hire date. So getting around to how I actually started, I've always been around automobiles. My father is a mechanic, and he opened his own business when I was 14 years old. So I had the luxury to work with him, work alongside him, learn about automobiles, earn and gain that passion for automobiles as well. And he's very particular about wanting the best for myself and my brother, wanting the best for his family, wanting the best for everyone that comes along. And one of the things, I haven't told him this yet, one of the things that really drove me more so towards the career in Nissan, he was passionate about the money compensation at that time compared to what he experienced over the course of his years. And so one of the things he told me, he say, if you do not take the job, I totally understand, no problem. But if you do take the job, just know that you can never work for me again. And at that time, being 21 years old, I didn't really understand it. But later on, as I began to grow and grow older, I understood what he wanted. He wanted me to be better than him. He wanted me to experience life at a different angle than him. He wanted me to be able to work inside, not work outside, as we had to do a lot at his shop. So over the course of years, I've really understood and really appreciated that speech that helped me direct my career towards Nissan.
And so would you say that that early mentorship is what really got you into this career?
Oh, yes, most definitely, man. My father's mentorship guidance is who I am today. And that's one of the, actually, I'm not considered a junior, although I am named after my father. He doesn't have a middle name. He's just Larry Branch, and my middle name is Cardell. And I always put emphasis on every document or every meet and greet. I always put emphasis that I'm Larry C. Branch, so that it distinguishes myself from my father, because I hold him at very high weight, and I don't want anything to get mixed up as it just being Larry Branch.
Oh man, that's phenomenal. I mean, having those mentorships, and I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the conversation. We were talking about you giving back to the community and your passion within the community. But I want to jump now into the first segment, which is the maintainers mashup.
Maintenance required.
Listen, I maintain.
I maintain it myself.
Maintain course.
Maintain speed.
I gotta maintain respect.
Larry, we're going to talk about, diving deeper in equipment management, how we grow our teams, and how we make maintenance more reliable. So you started off, doing that automobile technician, working with the family, and then you became part of probably what you would call almost a new family today, being there for, over 20
years. Yes.
So you're a veteran within Nissan. You've navigated multiple positions and career paths within the company. Can you kind of highlight where you started and the different positions that you've held without the company, and what experience that was like?
So I started, as you stated, June 23rd, 2003, which was 1 month after the first vehicle was made in our plant. So I started online technician, production technician, and shortly after, within 6 months, we developed the line leader process. So I held that line leader process from January 2004 all the way through March of 2015. Worked in the various positions, inspecting repair, sanding and buffing, sub-assembly of the actual bumpers, the bed liner process area, injection molding, the spray booth area. Then 2010, while I was still within the production environment, got a call to report to our training center, and didn't get any heads up, didn't get any F4 warning or advanced warning, anything like that. And being there over the course of years, when someone says report somewhere without any notice, it's typically for a bad thing. So we, myself and 3 other of my colleagues, we reported to the training center, and little did we know awaiting us were 2 Japanese gentlemen with 30 plus years of experience awaiting our arrival to train us to become certified master trainers. And that entails as a certificate of training that you completed the course to become certified, and that you can train and teach at any Nissan plant around the world.
Nice. So you started out as the line technician. You became a leader very quickly, it sounds like.
Yes.
Ultimately had all these different skill sets and then became a trainer. Could you tell us a little bit about I would say that internal program? Because it seems like something that a lot of companies and people around the globe, really, not just the country, could benefit from. So I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
I would say Nissan's training and development is top notch. And I say that because I've been fortunate enough to work throughout other Nissan facilities, and I can see the process across the board that aligns with the purpose and the goal. Nissan is very driven with employee development, career development, providing you with all those tools that you need to be successful. But you also have to play your part. You also have to go out and do those things. You also have to raise your hand and say, I want to learn more. I want to be involved. And there's not a closed door when it comes to that. There's involvement. A lot of times you may not be able to be involved with the things that you pick out, but they offer you more involvement across the board, offer you chances to move within the department, outside the department, and get involved with a lot of things. And that has been very key to the success of our establishment, the success of our plant. We've only been established there 21 years, but our sister brother plant in Smyrna, Tennessee is knocking on 43 years.
Wow.
But that development process within the Nissan scope is very valuable when it comes to development, creating standards, creating courses for everyone to have an opportunity to learn cross-functional training, cross-functional meetings, development, so that a process or an issue that may not be your specialty, but being able to be involved in cross-functional, you may be able to offer input that can help solve that problem or find root cause analysis.
So
Awesome.
when we're talking about training, when new technology becomes a bigger part of our processes that we're doing every day, how do we manage new technology around training and bringing the right skills that are needed within the company?
I would reverse your statement. I think it's more so, how do we manage training around new technology instead of new technology around training? Because new technology is going to be faster and come on board quicker than the actual training, especially the training that I mainly specialize, which is manual dexterity training, the hands-on training, the technique and different things like that. From a new technology standpoint, before it comes into our plant, that technology, that equipment, all of those things have been online somewhere at the prototype facility or at another venue, and they are ready to come online and run fire, put fire to it, and they're ready to be operational other than tweak to perform the specific operation that they're going to be used for. So that's depending on the equipment uptime to install, it's lengthy or it may be short, but I cannot perform my duties from a training standpoint until that equipment is fully online. I have a general idea, but until that equipment is live and running, I don't have the luxury to do much from a manual dexterity standpoint or a teaching and training moment until it's operational. And at that time, it's a very short window before we have to be in some type of production mode, whether it's PT1 production trials, early production trials 2, and then ready for start of production. And so being able to keep up with the training and forbid if there's an issue or adjustment that has to be made to the equipment or a change within the process, now I have to circle the wagon and retrain that new process or retrain or update the training to match what is going on. So I think the biggest thing is being able to keep up with the training, keep up with the new technology, because new technology is going to be coming in and out, with, especially with the EVs in waves. But you only have so many trainers in key positions to be able to keep up with the demand of new technology introduced.
So, Larry, being a growth guy, I have to ask you this quick follow-up question, because I always love to hear about professional, personal growth, and, of course, business growth. You mentioned that you started a job at a new plant, and you talked a little bit about how things went early in your career. But let's talk about today. So you're a paint technologist, and you have this training background. And so I'd love to hear, let's say Nissan starts a new factory or a new facility. What's your role in helping them set up for success? One specific focus I'd like to hear about is, with all the new technology versus the old technology, how do you not lose the basics and making sure there's a positive transfer there as we have 2 generations, or really 3 generations now, working in the plant?
Right. So within new startup plants, new facilities, new processes, I fall under what is considered NNL, new model launch. And so what that is, that a group of members from around the globe, we will go to new plant startups, depending where they are, depending on the skill that's needed. If it's one of our specialties, my specialty is in spot repair. touch-up sanding and buffing. We would go around the globe into those facilities and help bridge the gap within that training compared to normal 2 to 3 trainers per 30, 40, 50 employees. So we come in and perform the operations as well as train. So I've had the luxury to partake in, live within Mexico, Aguas Calientes, Mexico, to help the startup at one of our manufacturing facilities. Between 2017 and 2019, I was there living off and on for 4 months. And recently, there was one call that went out throughout the company for support within Tochigi, Japan. So I had the luxury to live in Japan from January of 23 through June of 2023 to help and support new paint plant facility for one of my flagship vehicles, which is the Aria, entry-level electric vehicles, crossover SUV for us. So going back to your main point, how do we not lose the basics? And I think that comes from, we really have to fully understand what the basics are. And I think we lose focus because, as we stated earlier, there are a lot of new technology, there are a lot of new things coming on board. And we see the glare of those things and say, hey, this is going to be difficult. Hey, how do we perform? But no matter what you do, there's always basic principles within every single operation. There's a basic principle as far as how you start a piece of equipment, how you start a machine. There's a basic principle to how you hold a tool. There's a basic principle to how you stand from a posture standpoint. We have a tendency to lose those basic principles because we see the highlighted or the excitement within that new technology and think that it's going to be a difficult task. So we try to rush and operate it without taking the stance for those basics. And what we don't realize a lot of times, new technology, new equipment, it's a lot easier than old technology and older equipment. So a lot of troubleshooting is not needed anymore, but the basic understanding of how to get to the troubleshooting point is what we lose. And so we always have to go back to the basic skills. And it's funny you asked that question. My very first certification was in paint basic skills.
Awesome.
So, kind of as a follow-up question to that real quick, Larry, is why does a standardized training matter across the board? Like, especially for people who are listening to these facilities, and every facility is different. There's different people within those facilities. Why would you say, just in a short recap, why would you say that standard training across multiple facilities and multiple areas is important for companies?
Because it's a textbook and it's a guideline. And when you're dealing with things that has high cost value, such as automobiles, high safety value, such as automobiles, high quality value, such as automobiles, it's very important that you define those standards and you have a way to track and keep those standards along the same playing field. And that way it's easier to track issues or easier to see where someone went wrong or where something went wrong in the process, because it was standard across the board. If it's something is deviated from it, it would stand out compared to if everybody's doing something different. Now the norm becomes irrelevant processes. And so you have to track each and every operator, each and every process to see where that difference is compared to if there's a standard across, that difference will stand out and come to you rather than you have to go find that difference if everyone is doing something different.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And so based off of your background, it sounds like you have a wide net of skill sets. And typically speaking, we grow not just at work, but we grow outside of our jobs. So in our next segment, I'd love to hear a little bit about that. So let's talk about how you excel in the second segment. What's in your toolkit?
We're gonna fix it. Get the tool.
Pick the one right tool.
The right tool for the right job.
So outside of Nissan, we know that you're doing a lot of stuff community-wise down there in Mississippi. So a little bird told me that you have a position as a vice chairman. So could you tell me a little bit about that role and then some other roles that you have? Sounds like you are on the board as an alumni of Jackson State. So shout out to Jackson State there.
Yes.
So
I love.
yeah, that's right. I hear that. So tell us a little bit about these roles and how they helped you. Also how you're helping others further their life, professionally, personally, and then of course business-wise. That's what you're doing as a chairman of a board, right?
Yeah. So I'm not sure which one I start with first, but I go with the vice chairman of the board of directors for Veritas Federal Credit Union, which is Nissan's official credit union. There too, I worked my way up through various positions. I started in January 2011 as an entry-level supervisory committee member. And basically what that does is we perform audits, cash counts, and basically check the records, documents, make sure they're aligned to NCUA standards, National Credit Union Association standards. Make sure that the operations are aligned and everything is pretty much running smoothly or according to standards and processes. I actually volunteered within that position as a check the box item to put something on my resume. I've always considered myself pretty decent with finances. Math was my favorite subject. And so as I got into it, I realized I really liked it more than what I thought I would. And so I applied myself further, became the chairman of the supervisory committee, ended up working myself onto the board of directors, and now onto the vice chairman of the board of directors. So within the board of directors, we're basically the overseeing or of the credit union, make sure management is running the day-to-day operations accordingly, checking, reviewing policies and procedures, and ultimately making sure that the credit union is functioning in a good capacity for its members. Helping others is one of the things I love, passionate about. As I stated at the beginning of this podcast interview, that working with my father, seeing how he helped people with getting a vehicle fixed, knowing that a lot didn't have the financial means to be able to afford some of the repairs that was needed for their vehicles, helping people with their repairs that they only had one mode of transportation, and that mode of transportation was the breadwinner to them being able to get to their particular job or destination so that they could provide for their family, and seeing the help that he gave throughout the community as well. That has led me towards volunteering, helping others. I've always been very passionate for the less fortunate, seeing those that did not have or were not fortunate to have what I had or was able to obtain, especially within the family scope. Because I always looked at it as if, what if I didn't have that father figure? What if I didn't have that father around to be able to provide and do different things? So I've always looked at things different that way. So was able to help with a male mentoring program, CHAMPS male mentoring program, which the original foundation program is out of Chicago, Illinois. Being able to impact the lives of young men, that's second to none. So if the program doesn't reach historic heights, if we're able to make a difference in the young men that we interact with, that is what the ultimate goal is. So that is one of my big things I like to do, get involved with volunteering, giving back, making a difference, or seeing how you can help someone make a difference.
So I think the takeaway from that is giving back to the community is not only rewarding to the individuals you're helping, but it's you as an individual who also gives. So
Yeah.
how can we as a manufacturing industry do a better job reaching communities?
Overall, I would tell everyone to follow Nissan's uh, guideline and footsteps of 21 years, seeing it face to face, day in day out. How Nissan is very involved in the community. We have various outreach opportunities. We're very special in helping with Habitat for Humanity. We have days throughout the week when there's specific habitat bills where Nissan allows employees that want to participate in Habitat. They get paid as if they were coming to work, but they go on the Habitat site and work. There are several other community events involved that Nissan in my location is very heavily, deeply involved. We're under the direction of a great gentleman, Mr. Victor Taylor now is our vice president, and he's all about community development, giving back. And within the training center where I work a lot of the times, my manager, Mr. Gino Perkins, over the outreach and workforce development, Gino is top notch when it comes to community development, finding funding to help with projects so that we can be out in the community doing various outreach opportunities for manufacturing development, for STEM programs, robotic programs. We are currently hosting a STEM teachers conference at our training center right now. And 3 weeks ago, we hosted the Mississippi Robotics Championship. Over 300 kids came on site to our training center. And that's just one of many and several volunteer opportunities or giving back to the community that my site does alone. So add another 20 years onto that as far as what the Smyrna, Tennessee site does as well. And I was fortunate enough to win the Jimmy Carter Habitat Bill in 2013. So I was able to work alongside the president and his staff, and I was stationed in Staten Island, New York. After Hurricane Sandy hit, we were building habitat homes there. And so I was out of my facility. I won the award to go there and help.
You obviously have a passion for helping people behind you, right? Wanting to give them the right experience that they haven't gotten, the right knowledge and ways to further themselves. So one thing that's a constant sticking point for conversation is you being, for example, a lifer at Nissan, 20 plus years.
Yeah.
What are the pros and cons in modern day of staying at a company as long as you have versus maybe moving to another company? And I'd like that to be more geared towards the newcomers into the industry, so they can kind of think about and frame their career and how they'll go about it.
I would say there's nothing wrong with staying within your company or staying somewhere for a longer tenure, but you have to have goals within yourself, the desires, those things that you want to build off of. A lot of people have left companies or have left jobs seeking better opportunities, which there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to ask yourself, did you seek those better opportunities within your company where you are? And not many people would say that they have. They saw better opportunity, or they saw what they thought was a better opportunity externally, and they didn't apply or didn't dig as deep within their own company or their own profession to see those things. So there's pros and cons of both, depending on what's your ultimate goal. What are you getting out of your current employment? What are you seeking to get out of your future employment? But the ultimate goal is to be impactful, be successful, and to better yourself. And if you're able to achieve those things, I think the decision that you make will be in good forthcoming. And one of the quotes that my father would always say, he'd say, never apologize for making the decision that you thought was best for your family.
Wow, that's a good quote right there.
Is it not? I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So let's jump into our next segment, which is the future of factories.
Meet the future!
To our futures.
What future?
The factory. My factory. Everybody's factory.
I love your factory.
My factory, my rules.
So we want to talk more about what we see as upcoming trends and changes that are going to be happening in the industry as we look ahead into the near future. So one of the first things that comes to mind, Larry, is, the discussion of AI. There's also a discussion around recruiting and bringing jobs back here domestically to the States. How do you as an individual see the future of factories? And then maybe dive a little bit into, if you can, talk about some things that Nissan's doing as well when it comes to the future of what manufacturing will look like.
So my personal view from a future of manufacturing, I see a lot of new technology coming. Obviously, I see a lot of new equipment coming, but I don't see a major reduction in manual labor due to the fact the cost of living is going up. Products are becoming better. They're becoming more expensive. And so you still have to have that human element somewhere within the process that ensures anything that deals with safety, make sure that safety key factors are there. Although a robot can test and perform those functions, but you still have to have that human element of validation there, as well as quality as well, because you always want to build in quality, not repair it in. And so a lot of times it's easy to lose focus because we would say, hey, we shipped a good product. But if that quality wasn't built into that good product compared to repairing that quality in, then that risks the chances for things or issues down the road or in the field. And from the future of manufacturing from Nissan side, the facility that I worked in Japan, it was called the Nissan Intelligent Factory. And so there was a lot of technology advances there. There was a lot of new technology. There was a lot of first-time technology, not only within Nissan, but within the auto industry. And so being able to see that, being able to experience that, and from a training standpoint and knowing what it takes to do the manual dexterity training that we have within our processes and our programs, I was able to say, hey, although this is new, this is state of the art, there's still an operator somewhere close by monitoring it from a screen, monitoring from an alarm, or ready for any type of issue. So that right there says, hey, we still must make sure that we are investing in our most valuable asset, and that is the people.
The people.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so, changing tone a little bit here, let's talk about obstacles and challenges. Do you see any large challenges, whether it be to Nissan, to the industry, to the nation, that with respect to AI or technology that we should really address, or things that are on your mind?
I would say it would be the opposite. And I say that because one of our planning sessions for the credit union, about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a gentleman we brought in to speak to us. And one of the things that he shared, what was very astonishing, was he said at that point in time, he was saying 10 years from now. So that would be right around the 2028, 2030 time frame of when the 50% electric vehicle market should start to hit all of those things. He said that 10 years from now, the degrees of college would take a back seat to the workforce development and the certificate of college.
Absolutely.
And he said you would go and get a degree, but 10 years from now, you would be required to go back to get a certificate in whatever scope you're doing to be able to continue within your profession. And when you look at it from the manufacturing scope, certificates are typically of trades, welding, mechanicals, robotics, programming. All of those things are what's needed inside the manufacturing workforce. But you don't see certificates when it comes to the health field, the banking field, the marketing, and different things like that. So when it comes to those fields of needing what we consider within my industry refresher courses, that is going to be new to them. And so it's going to hinder and slow their growth. But when the certificate is the priority for entering into the manufacturing scope, we will already be a one up. And so everybody will be able to enter into the field with some sort of knowledge with dealing that covers something under the STEM umbrella and make that easier transition into manufacturing compared to when I started, all of those certificates, those STEM programs, they wasn't there. Now STEM is taught within every school, so kids are able to touch bases on all of those things that be required into manufacturing. Whether that is their route that they end up going, they have touched bases on it. And so that is very, very helpful.
I'd be curious to know, do manufacturers in the future care more about certificates or degrees? I think we're going to see more and more, Larry, just echoing what you're saying, is these degrees are going to mean less and less when it comes to the future of the industry, where certificates truly show the understanding of the subject matter that professional needs to know.
Yes. And Nissan is already showing that. I'm sure other manufacturers are as well. Nissan pays 100% of your education college if it deals with anything that falls within the manufacturing scope.
Awesome. Before we say goodbye to Larry, let's jump into our final segment, Fix It Funnies.
Fix is in.
It's making a really funny noise.
I'm gonna fix it.
Make it funny would be great if you could make it funny.
Your fate is fixed.
That's what makes it funny. Make sure it's funny.
So, Larry, at the start of the episode, Jake asked you about where you would escape for a much-needed vacation. But, let's talk about work hacks now. So we're coming back to the workplace after vacation. What do you do? What are your work hacks? I like to think of things like, do you carry a specific snack, or do you have something that you utilize for focus? Like 5-hour energies, Cliff Bars, things of that nature, even insoles. What would be the things that you do personally that you feel really changes your day to day?
I think it is done prior to my work, whether it's exercising or getting enough rest. I can count on one hand the number of energy drinks that I've drunk in my entire life. From a Cliff Bar standpoint, one of my dear friends, she works for Cliff Bar, so I've had the luxury to try all of the the Cliff Bars available. But from a sense of trying them for energy purpose, or energy drinks or energy bar, I don't do anything to help motivate me. I think the biggest motivation that I get is being able to be involved in everything that I request to participate in. So there's never a dull moment. There's a saying say when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Yeah.
Awesome.
So we can see that you love what you do. But let's say we were to go back in time, go back to 2002, 2003, and you didn't have that conversation with your family. What industry would you be in right now if you didn't get into manufacturing? What other passion would you have followed?
Outside of playing sports, I think I would still be somewhere within the automobile sector. I probably would have been working with my father. Whether I would still be there today, I most definitely would have been there, continue to work and grow within the mechanic side. I know ultimately he would have pushed me out in the sense of making sure that I'm reaching my greatest capability or seeking the best development for me, making sure that I explore other opportunities and different things like that. And I say that because I've witnessed that with some of his employees, the guys that work with him and work for him. He always encouraged them if there was a better opportunity to where someone was able to pay them for their services more than what he could provide. He always encouraged them to go out and seek those ventures. To the point to there have been a couple of instances where he made those guys go seek other opportunities because he wanted better for them. Say, hey, I'm gonna be here. If you have to come back, I'll be here. But you need to go see if that opportunity end up being better for your family. So I'm sure I was started out with my father with school after I graduated from Jackson State, but ultimately I would have ended up somewhere else later on down the road.
Larry, thank you so much for coming to the show. It has been absolutely wonderful to have you. And to everyone else, this has been The Maintainers, a Blue Cap community podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe so you can be notified anytime a new episode goes live. Thanks again. Have a great day.
This podcast is brought to you by Traction. Traction offers streamlined hardware and software solutions designed to make maintenance more reliable and profitable. Their AI-powered condition monitoring and asset management solution predicts machine failures and eliminates unplanned downtime, generating an average of 38% more productivity for clients worldwide. It's artificial intelligence quarterbacking your maintenance.